Hey there, my name is Carlos Berlitz, and today we are going to start with my review of the Wizards of the Coast board games, Dungeons and Dragons board games. And the first one that was released, and also the first one that we are going to review, is Castle Ravenloft. The board game... This Dungeons and Dragons board game offers you the opportunity to meet up with Count Strahd. If you are not familiar with Dungeons and Dragons lore, he is the Lord of Barovia, of Castle Ravenloft and also Barovia. And this board game introduces the opportunity to go through the dungeon of the castle itself. So we will first go with the table of contents and my opinion on them individually, and afterwards I will then go properly to the review of the gaming experience. I played it solo and also with more people, so you will get a more full opinion on that. So let's get to it. The first thing that is not in the table of contents, but is the first thing that you will notice, is the box itself. It's pretty sturdy, so it's okay to keep all your stuff inside of it, and probably even in shipping it won't be very damaged. So it's a plus. The second thing that you notice when you open it is that you have some punchable cards like that. And you have exactly 13 of them. Some of them are in the top of the box, some of them are in the bottom. They are of a sturdy material, they are very thick, and they are easily punchable. If you can see here, this is the start tile. You get this one and 40 more tiles that you can then use for the different missions, but we'll get to them later on. So beside the tiles you will have a lot of different markers with different functions. Some of them to healing surge, to heal your hero. Some of them with time marker, some of them the sun marker. And some of them that you use the most are the ones from the heroes, where they have two sides. One is the first level and the second one is the second level. And also important monsters, they are also featured in these cards. So you have a howling hag and a werewolf in this one. So important monsters are also in this kind of square card. And the really important ones is like in this one you have this big one, and this big one is only for Count Strahd von Zarovich himself and a Dracolich. That it's also a huge mini. I will show you later on in this review. And these are the markers that you mostly use. You will also have some of the encounter markers and items, and usually they are used for, if you have an item like a glyph of warding, you can place them in one of the tiles of the dungeon tiles, and it will activate once a monster steps on it. And also you have a lot of traps. That it's a dungeon after all, and usually you will face most of them as traps instead of as items. So for the dungeon tiles, as I mentioned, you have this big one that is the start tile. It is the size of two regular dungeon tiles, and then you have 40 more that some of them are used only randomly, that when you have to push one to inspect a new area of the dungeon, and some of them, like this one, they have a text that defines them, like this one is a crypt, and then they are used for specific adventures. So you have a lot of them with nothing really different. You have mostly some of them with these white triangle, some of them are with black. They have a little bit of difference when playing the game, but most of them doesn't have anything special, and even the ones that have something special, they are not used in a special way in every adventure. So they are specific for some adventures, and you see when we get to the different adventures part. So when playing, the most thing that you interact with is with cards. You have different decks. You have, like, this one is the encounter deck. You have a monster deck, and you also have a treasure deck. The treasure one is when you kill a monster or in specific situations, you get to pull a card from the treasure deck. The monster is every time you explore a new dungeon tile, at least one monster will appear, sometimes more, it depends on with a different encounter card that you may push. And the encounter card, they are for specific situations, and they are really easy to use. Actually, the rules are simple. You have your rulebook. It is not very, it is only for 14 or 15 pages, but they are very easy to read. You also then, beside the rulebook, you have an adventure book. This adventure book, it complements the rulebook. It offers some solo adventures and some adventures for group. They have also some tips of which adventure to start with. If it's your first time playing it, you have a total 13 adventures. So it's a mix and match, and with 13 different adventures and the random aspect of the cards and the tiles, the dungeon tiles, you really have very different games each time that you play. You have 5 different characters to choose from. So I really like this aspect of having different adventures and getting randomly generated dungeon because of the pulling different cards and different dungeons at a time. About the different dungeon types that you have, and when you are playing with more people, you have more options to go to different adventures. So some of the tiles will have then differences when they have a small skull on the corner of them, change a little bit how they behave. And you also have some adventures that use the little coffin symbols. As I mentioned, some adventures have different mechanics for different tiles, and these coffins usually they don't have any difference. But in some adventures you can have traps, you can have treasures on them, and some of the adventures are for taking the treasure out of the dungeon. Some are for finding a particular tile, killing the monsters that are inside of them, and that's it. Some adventures are to just escape from the dungeon. So you have a little bit of differences on them and how the tiles will behave. A variant rule that I saw some people using sometimes is to make some of the tiles have always a different behavior. So you have a fetid den, and doesn't matter if it's a particular adventure that you should have a different behavior on them, or it's just a regular another adventure that this tile should be just a regular one. You always make the fetid den have a different special behavior. This is something that you can change, and variant rules that you can try and make to have more diverse games, and then it will expand even more the power of replayability that you can get for your board game. And so I encourage you to try that and then see for yourself if you find it, if it adds to the fun of your games or not. If not, just go back to the regular vanilla rules, and there is no problem on that as well. Besides the cards, the punchable tiles and markers that you get, you also get 1 dice. The cards that I did not mention were also the cards from the characters, where you have their powers. You have different kinds of powers. You have daily powers that you, after you use, you have to turn them face down. and you need some special card to unflip them. You also will have utility powers that they are triggered only in special situations, and also after using them you have to flip them face down, and again just some specific card can unflip them. And you have at will powers that you can use them at will, as the name says, and then you don't have to flip them face down. You can use them every round without a problem. But the reason that most people buy this game is for the minis. And you get a decent amount of them for the price of the game. They are not very well built. They are plastic. Most of them are of medium size, but you have some large ones and one huge one that is the Draculage. It's a very nice mini, but for anyone that is a mini enthusiast, you can see clear mold lines, and they are present even in some of the medium-sized minis. And if you want to paint them, you certainly need to fill them out. They don't have many molding marks, but they have these filling these gaps that you need to fill if you want to paint them. I will put a link in the description with my Twitter, where I have painted some of them already, so you can see how they are before and after painting, so you have a better idea of the quality of the miniatures, that of the build of the miniatures themselves. You get 42 miniatures total. 5 of them are for the heroes, so we have 5 different hero options in this board game. And from these 42, one is huge, as I mentioned, the Draculage, and you have also 2 of them that are large. All the other ones are medium or smaller. You have like Swarm of Rats, you have also some skeletons, you have one for Count Strahd, you have some of them that are translucid for Wraith or Ghost, if you want to use it as well in your games. So you have a very different combination of miniatures that you can use, mainly undead, but it's Castle Ravenloft after all, and what can you expect of its script, its dungeon? It will have a lot of undead in there. So we already talked about the different markers that you have. You have one for slow, immobilize your HPs, and a lot of different stuff that will come in only some different adventures. You also get this plastic separator, where everything comes inside of it. I mean, it's not that sturdy, it's cheap plastic, but it works well enough to keeping your stuff organized and at hand in some way. I tend to put all my punchable cards back to their punchable sheet, because I think that they will last more this way. But you can certainly put everything inside your organizer and it will work. But again, it's personal preference, and you can go with that. So let's get to my opinion and review on the game, the game itself, how you play it, instead of just the thing that you get for the buck that you are paying. So about the game itself, one thing that really helped me to play my first game that I was playing alone, so I did not know how the game was and anything like that, is they have the cards of sequence of play. So they explain that you have first your hero phase, then your exploration phase, and after these 2 phases you have the villain phase, that is the last phase. And they also explain what you can do in your hero phase, like you can move twice, you can attack and then move, or move then attack. You cannot move, attack, move, even if you have enough movement to do that. Each hero has different movement, have different HP, and their attack is not specific for the hero, it's specific for the power that they are using. So they also suggest some of the power, like the powers that you should take if you're playing for the first time. So that it makes it easier because they're not like a huge amount, but they are enough to make to let you be confused of which powers should you take. So my take on playing solo, it can get a little bit repetitive, but after all, you are playing solo, you are playing alone, so it's only the game and you, and so you don't have a lot of different options to take. You know what you plan to do in the next move, so it gets a little bit repetitive, but it's fun. I could play for more than an hour and have fun. It's again, it's a personal opinion. It's my review of the game solo play, and for me, board games that have solo play option are amazing because it's not every time that you have players to play with, and you're sometimes not in the mood to play video game or computer games, and it's nice to keep you entertained and also to spark your imagination if you face a DM or player gap when you are trying to come up with a story. It's good to play and it sparks you. When playing with another person, I think that the combination of classes that you choose comes in handy, because when you are playing solo there is not many things that you choose only one class, so there is no combination that you can get from that. And you mostly, if you do not choose a cleric, you won't have how to heal. Without using healing surge, that it's something specific for the game, I won't like explain the rules. If you want that, comment down below and then I will do a video explaining how the game, how the rules, the integrating of the rules work, and try to explain in depth. But it's important, like if someone takes a cleric, take something that can hit. But sometimes both players want to play a fighter and a ranger. It's a viable combination, but it depends on the adventure as well. If it's a trap-filled adventure, perhaps having the rogue, it would be best. So it's also important to choose the adventure that you are going to play, or the adventurers based on the adventure that you are going to play. But the game gets much more dynamic. You have much more options to what you are going to take. It will explore a larger area, because when you are in the edge of a dungeon tile, you then explore a new tile and then you take it from the pile, the stack of dungeon tiles, place there, place a monster, and then you build a bigger dungeon and it gets more exciting. It's fun to play solo. It's a good game. It gets a little bit repetitive, as I mentioned, but it's much more fun to play with other person or people. I played only with one other person, so it's also not a huge lot, but you can play up to 5 people because you have only 5 heroes, and then I think that the fun gets bigger each time. With more people, more fun. But also, it's a very difficult game. I mean, I did not die in my games yet, but I fall to 0 HP in all of them. And by looking at the comments online, it's a tough game. I mean, you don't have a lot of options. It seems like the 2 other ones, they introduce another options to what you can do, and I will review them later on. And then we can see how you can build with that, but it's really a tough game. But it's this style of game that I like. I like Darkest Dungeon, I like these kind of games that are meat grinder. So that's why I really like this one, and I encourage you to take it. I paid like 40 euros or something for it, but it depends on the currency that you have. It's a good game for the buck that you pay, and you get 42 miniatures, and if you are looking for miniatures for your D&D games, really go for it. So my overall take on it, it's a good game, it's a decent build. The miniatures are not great, they have a decent build on them, so if you are taking them for Dungeons and Dragons game, it's okay, or RPG games, it's okay. But if you are planning to paint them and to a display level, they are not highly detailed, and they have really huge factory defects. I can say that because my werewolf came with a part of that. It was just seemed like a cut on the mini, and a lot of them they have the filling gaps that from where you stack different parts of miniature together, but they also have some where the mold lines for the mini come. They had some defects, some clear defects that I have to put some putty on them and try to make the texture to look like the other parts of the miniature. So they're not amazing, but for what you are paying, it's something that you could expect, because it's a whole board game and not just some miniatures. I know that most people go for it for the miniatures, but it will get what you are paying for. It's a fun game. You can really take it in less than 30 minutes. You already know all the rules if you are playing alone. Or just take the sequence of play card, select a hero and go for it. You spend like 5 to 10 minutes to learn the basic rules, and you learn while you are playing. It's easy to learn how to play, and you can have hours of fun and really get together with your friends. And it's a cooperative game, and I am much more a fan of cooperative game than versus games. But it's a personal opinion. You can test it. You can go to some hobby store that you can play games on there, and probably they will have this game there, and you can try it. Tell me what you think in the comments, and if you want more in-depth review of the minis themselves, or of the rules, more a nitty-gritty way, like which rules you have, how you play it, like a quick tutorial, let me know, and I will do my best to try to assist you. So until next time, see ya!